hanging out and getting a chance to talk with Coach Cal. Kalisha Keane joins us today, Dayton women's basketball in the spotlight. Coach, I want to go back to the time that you were wearing the jersey.
Okay.
Michigan State, you are the only player of the year in the Big Ten from the Spartans. And your time at Michigan State, right off the bat, was kind of an adventure because you get recruited, new coach comes in, but you stay with the Spartans, and it was a fantastic ending.
Yeah. It was obviously not like what you expected going in. We all didn't actually sign with Coach Merchant and that staff that she brought along with her. But she came out to Canada like right away when she got the job, and we met at my high school. I'll never forget it. She came with her son, and her husband actually too, drove with her, and it was kind of like our entire class still wanted to stick together, so we talked about it, and I'm really glad that we did, honestly. It was great.
Susie Merchant ends up taking the job at Michigan State, and then, like you mentioned, she makes this journey out and says, hey, stay a Spartan, and you do. Even at that age and being so young, was that kind of maybe foreshadowing for you as a coach and sort of the importance of that relationship and what a simple drive can mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think connection is everything, and I think like her showing that effort to like get out to meet with us right away. She went and saw everybody, so it wasn't just me that she went and seen. But I think like taking the time to like meet us as like people and see where we were at with our decisions, that kind of thing. And I think it is important. Like I honestly think about it often. Like when I think about, you could make so many different decisions, but like why did I actually choose to stay? And it was definitely because of the people, for sure. So that matters to me a lot now when I'm like coaching, for sure.
And I think it also matters to like the journey of like the people that you go through that process with, because what I thought was incredible in that you have a coaching change and then everybody in your class stayed on board.
Yeah. I remember us like at that time, I think it was like MSN Messenger or something like that, not to date myself, but I remember us all being like messaging back and forth, like, are you gonna stay? Are you gonna stay? And we all kind of were on the same board. And then like some of the girls who were on the team currently as well were messaging us like, hey, we really want you guys to come. Like, we can do big things together and that kind of thing. So it just worked out.
And you did do big things, and amongst like a Big Ten title and then going to the NCAA tournament multiple times. 1,500 points later, you go and play professionally. You went around the world.
Yeah.
How many countries did you play, and how many years were you at it professionally?
I was at it for about 8 years. I have to do the math. Like Croatia, Israel, Turkey, Australia, Slovakia. So about like 5 years. I spent multiple years in Turkey and multiple years in Israel. But I had a blast, honestly. It was so cool to just see different places all around the world and like learn different cultures. I had a really good time, and I had some really great teammates as well.
A lot of different stamps on that passport.
Yeah.
What was the best year professionally, or I should say, what was your best stop?
That one's tough because I feel like they all brought different things. But if I was going for like everything all encompassed, I would probably say Australia. I thought it was just the most beautiful country ever. Weather was awesome. My teammates were great. The club was super professional, but the added benefit that they spoke English just made everything like so easy. So I had a really good time there, for sure.
Does basketball change across the world?
Yeah, definitely. Like the style of play in different countries, you can feel different things. I think like Israel was definitely a more like a smaller league, but very up and down. You had a lot more Americans per roster. And then when I think about like Australia, it was like very physical league. They could really shoot the ball, and they were just super fit. And then when I think about like Turkey, that was like one of the most versatile leagues because I think there was a lot of different like melting pots of basketball that came together there, for sure.
You play professionally, and then you go back to East Lansing.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested in sort of that journey of player to coach. Mm-hmm. When did you want to take that step, and was it always in the back of your mind?
Honestly, no. I remember my senior year, there was a man, I can't remember who he was, but he came up to me, and this is like, I'm thinking I'm like going to the WNBA and gonna be that girl, and he came up to me and he was like, you're gonna be a much better coach than you ever were a player. And at that time, I was like, I'm really not trying to hear this, But like fast forward 7+ years later, I remember Susie telling me like, because I would go back to Michigan State to work out in the summers, and she told me, like, anytime you're ready, like, I want you to give me a call. I want you to come back and be a GA. So I remember just thrashing my ankle in a game, and I was like, I think it's time. Like, I get a big girl job. So I called Susie, and they worked wonders, got me into grad school in about like 2 to 3 weeks, and it was kind of over from there, and I've been doing it ever since. So.
Yeah, and you find your way to Dayton, and amongst coaching, what's been the thing that you've enjoyed the most?
Honestly, I've enjoyed just the process of like seeing the development in your players on and off the floor. It's super cool when you can see like you've worked with a player on a certain move or a certain moment that you're trying to get them to understand in a game, and then it happens, and then they kind of look over at you like, oh my God, like it just worked kind of thing. So that brings me joy. I think still being able to be like in a competitive environment really like just keeps me going as a person. Yeah.
Do you ever take moments from your playing career of like that experience and trying to translate that to your players in sort of maybe a bump in the road or a similar situation of saying, I remember that time when I was 20, 21?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the kind of cool part about my journey is that I had like great accolades by my senior year, but leading up to that point, it wasn't this like perfect space. So I wasn't always a starter. I wasn't always, sometimes I came off the bench. Some games like, I remember having like a terrible sophomore year. So it kind of made me, I think, just more aware of like the different spaces that they could be in individually. And I try to just relate to them as much as I can. Because this too shall pass, like you're gonna get through this as long as you continue to like work and just maintain positivity. But yeah, I think that's really helped me, and I think I love just giving back to them in that space. Because I always talk to my sister about this, but like sometimes I wish we had like ourselves as coaches, just to be able to like talk about things, and that's why I think our staff is awesome, honestly, because we come from such varied backgrounds, but we all like have that playing experience, so it's cool.
I was very interested in. You're a proud Canadian, mm-hmm. and I was going back and I was looking at an interview from your former coach and Susie Merchant at Michigan State, mm-hmm. and she made the comment that you play fast because you're from Canada. And then we were talking that in Canadian high school basketball, there's a shot clock?
Yeah. So we play, like the OSBA, they play with FIBA rules. So it's going to be a 24-second shot clock every time down the floor. So Susie used to really get mad at me my freshman year because I would be getting up shots like I'm thinking like 2 or 3 passes within the offense and like, okay, it's 10-9-8. We got to get a shot off. And I wasn't like adapting to that 30 extra 6 seconds that you get in college. So it was a learning curve for sure. But we remember like cracking up about it though, for sure.
Meanwhile, I think a lot of the players that you work with are probably trying to get adjusted to that Absolutely. 30 seconds because they didn't have a shot clock.
Yeah, that's one really big thing with freshmen. I think just like the speed difference from high school to your first year of college is like it hits you right in the face. So I think that's so true.
Let's talk about this team because there are 3 new faces this year from your home country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And talk about the Canadian connection, and then I guess what's maybe interesting in sort of your lifetime of the growth that Canada has seen in the basketball game.
Yeah, I joke with Tamika all the time. I was like, why didn't you recruit me when I was in college, when she was at Ohio State? She's like, I didn't know anything about Canada. So it's kind of cool to see like how much Canadian kids are being recruited now. I think it's a great opportunity for them. And they get to like travel, see the world, all that kind of good stuff. But the basketball and the style of play up there is really good. So I think deservingly so, Our 3 girls on our team, I'm just overjoyed to have them and to be able to recruit them. I've been wanting to, coach Canadian players for a long time since getting in this business. So each and every one of them brings something different, I think. Liv, coming from Crestwood, I think she came from a super competitive environment. She brings that and instills it here. And I think Ajak and Shantavia both have just like great styles of play that we've needed to add to our roster. So it was awesome to see like the impact that they've had so far.
I think a lot of folks go back to Canadian basketball and like the Toronto Raptors mm-hmm. and like Ontario. And although the Grizzlies were short-lived like in Vancouver, mm-hmm. but with Ajak, like for Canadian basketball, like is it across the country where, girls are really taking to the game? Because I feel like each and every year, you're seeing more Canadians on every roster that sort of you pick up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Raptors were definitely a huge thing. I think I still have a Grizzlies shirt, so shout out to the Grizzlies. But I'm overjoyed that the WNBA is also going to be a thing there. I think it's a city that's like just ready to support a team like that. But it does span like nationwide. I think because we only have the one team as like in a professional space. I think we definitely gravitated toward it. But it's a hockey country, so it's taken a little bit of time. But Vince Carter really took something off for us. It's great.
Still an indoor sport though.
Yeah.
And shining bright.
Yeah.
Coach, do you get a chance to sort of share your nationality and amongst now a couple of your players with the rest of the team?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We Canada Day, we celebrated a little bit. Canadian Thanksgiving, we had like a little flag up in the gym. I have the girls over sometimes for food, that kind of thing, just to check in on them and that kind of stuff. But we're proud here. We're proud Canadians. I think Liv might be the loudest one with it, but yeah, we're definitely happy to all be around each other.
Well, we're so proud to have you on staff and looking forward to more exciting things this year. Coach, thanks for sitting down, hanging out with us.
Thanks so much.